Investigate series of murders by half-human, half-woman fish who wants to have a baby, who of course falls in love with Mitch.
Oh.
Investigate a gelatinous sea monster.
Which half is fish? Which half is fish?
Hi, everybody. I'm Amy Newman.
And I'm Chris Carr, and we are two filthy casuals.
And we know that getting into a new fandom, trying to be sexy, is it working?
It's so good.
We know that getting into a new fandom can be intimidating with all the gatekeepers out there and what happens at night.
What happens in the night?
We know what happens in the day.
But what in the night?
What if is the beach still there?
I don't think it is. It's Schrodinger's beach. You just don't know anymore if you can't see it. That's why on this podcast, we invite on a super fan. That way you can ask your questions and dip your toe into the fandom, sans judgment. Mm-hmm. And today, we have a return guest. Our buddy Travis Riner is back. You remember him from his Hell of a Boss episode. And if you didn't listen to it, what are you doing? Go back and listen to that episode. It's fantastic.
Yeah, now they get to see me. Now I'm not just a voice in the crowd.
Exactly. The Venn diagram of Hell of a Boss and Baywatch Nights
this
fans.
is quite a crossover event that's happening right now,
One big circle.
You know, with season 2, though, I feel like it makes more sense of, this is a very complete picture I'm getting of you and your brain, and I like it, but I'm scared.
Yeah. I also don't know. I think this might be the one episode where you can't describe someone as a super fan for this show, nor can you say that you're getting into a fandom with this show. It's just experiencing this show.
Well, correct me if you guys don't feel this way, but after watching this, particularly those season 2 bits, it was this is bad good. This is fun. Yeah. Season 1? Kind of bad.
Yeah.
In my personal opinion, if you like season 1, that's great. But season 2 is just fun and weird, and I really want to watch more.
Well, 1990s, I think if you watch 1990s shows like Magnum P.I., which this was kind of based off of and what they tried to do, and a lot of that kind of stuff, it's actually not that bad compared to a lot of the 1990s like shows that were out there, especially detective shows. And then the second season came. And that's where this comes in, is because
we really hit the gas.
Yeah, because I have, the whole reason I made them do this with me is because this is something I've talked about since my teens probably, and that shows my age, where at parties I would be like, hey, you guys remember this show Baywatch Nights, right? And everyone's like, no, that's a crack dream that you had. And I was like, no, it existed, and thankfully, to the advent of technology, you're able to find it now because you can't find it on DVD. You can't find it like streaming anywhere, but you can find it on YouTube. And people have been good about it.
Well, I think to dive in, you so kindly brought us coffee.
Yes. Now, you are both very talented actresses, and I really wanted to, before we get into preface of what this is, I want you to do a cold read of this. Either one or both of you, whoever would like. So
do we want a popcorn?
Oh, like you'll start and I'll then go?
Yeah, like we popcorn pass it back and forth.
Yeah, sure.
First half, back half. What are we thinking?
You can do first half, and then when the spirit moves you, pass that paper.
Okay.
Pop that corn.
Okay. You know, I'll take it from one. You know, some people think the beach closes after the sun goes down. Especially if you're a PI. Now I know what you're thinking. Mitch is a lifeguard. What does he know about being a PI? Well, both involve rescuing people. Fuck, he's got us there. I'm going to popcorn this over here.
Oh, sweet. All right. Turns out, my best friend, Garner, went partners in a bankrupt detective agency with a beautiful brunette PI that left New York for the California sun and adventure. What can I say? When someone yells help, I jump in with both feet.
I love that line.
Let's finish this together.
Oh, and I hope you do too, as we introduce a new series of private eye adventures called Baywatch Nights. Sit back and enjoy the ride. Tell, don't show.
Yeah.
Tell, don't
So
show.
if you just heard this, you would be like, oh, he sold the premise this way. This was something he went to like a producer. No, this is how it starts.
Yeah.
With
This
him
is
looking
how the
at
show
camera.
starts.
Oh, yeah, he talks to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Mitch coming down from a lifeguard station with...
And that is Hasselhoff's character from Baywatch.
Yes.
I'm not a Baywatch.
Yeah.
I mostly
Hasselhoff's-
watch it at
I was-
Kantiki.
Yeah.
I was not the target audience because I
always-
was
yeah.
a
Child.
baby.
Yeah.
It's always on this bar that we like called Kantiki. Baywatch is always on one of the screens.
It's magical.
But yeah, this is literally David
Ever
Hasselhoff.
Baywatch Nights?
No.
You should write a letter.
We should have them play
Oh,
it.
we should talk
ask
to
if
them.
they'll
Like,
play it.
listen.
But it's literally
shot.
David Hasselhoff, who's playing Mitch, walking down from one of the lifeguard stations as the sun is going down behind him, and just reads this. And this is how the show starts.
Very much to you, the viewer. Like,
Yeah.
it's got a little bit of a, didn't hear you come in there.
Oh,
energy.
completely.
For no fucking reason. I only watched a bit of this show, but there is sort of this narration that does keep a lot of this tell don't show. It's very like, oh fuck, it'd be an awful lot of work to write this backstory into the dialogue organically. Let's just have David Hasselhoff be like, this lady, she was a model, super hot. Like, yeah, okay, thank you.
I appreciate that, though, because I learned how hard it is to work with a lady
Yes.
when describing Angie Harmon, because Angie Harmon is in this. Rizzoli or Isles, I don't know which one she is in this. Trying to fight for her life.
It gets better because Angie Harmon. So those of you who don't know Angie Harmon, it was in Law and Order. She's like the basis of Law and Order, but she's also done a bunch of other things. This was her first acting gig.
Oh, I didn't know
This
that.
was her first acting. She was a model when she was like a teenager, which she's very, very attractive in this. She's an attractive woman anyways.
But she's very serious, which you can tell because she has brown hair.
Yes. She is the smoking hot brunette who has the smoky voice and everything.
But brown
too.
hair, so serious.
But brown hair,
So not
serious.
going, probably, if she's probably not going to smooch David Hasselhoff.
That's why Amy and I only go out for dramatic television roles.
Correct.
So of course their characters do fall in love through this.
Sure, but not right away.
Yeah.
He smooches the blondes episode to episode.
Oh, yeah,
And brown
absolutely.
hair is very serious, and
But
he has to wear
gradually
her
falls in. I'm sorry, I should have had you do the banjo,
down. Spoiler.
the
Yeah.
spoiler banjo before I said that. But they do fall through it, of course, because and
Who
we'll
could
get
resist the Hoff?
yeah, we'll get into that because Mitch, like everything falls for Mitch. Everyone is obsessed with David
I was
Hasselhoff.
watching this like David Hasselhoff might be the most like you are objectively a perfectly good-looking man, and man, I don't get it.
He is real life Gaston.
Yeah.
I understand that you
Absolutely.
have attractive features, but there's still something sinister about you. You know what I mean? Like when in the pilot episode, when he confronts this woman about what she's done,
Yes.
it gets kind of spooky where I'm like, why do I fear him and not the murderess?
Well, and then when he like kisses her and stern brunette is the stern brunetting, and she's like, you kissed her, and he's like, she was scared, she was vulnerable. What was I supposed to do? Like, not kiss her, maybe.
Yeah. But sorry, I need to go back because
Please. Yeah.
Angie Harmon, there's also a rumor, not quite sure, but literally Angie Harmon got this role because she walked past and sat next to David Hasselhoff on a plane and he thought she was hot. And then found out that she was a model and then was like, you want to be in a show? And then just hired her right there. And this show is also part of the reason why she got Law and Order. So Angie Harmon literally got all of these amazing roles afterwards by being in Baywatch Nights.
We should all be so lucky.
I mean, it is that weird moment where you realize some people are really just like going through life like that. Like one time I was in an elevator with a woman and then someone else got in the elevator and they were like, oh my God, are you a model? To her, not me, shockingly. And she would, don't laugh. And she was like, don't laugh. And she was like,
I'm laughing at your delivery of it.
and she was like, oh, yeah. But like, I forget how she responded, but it was very much with that air of like, this question again. And I was like, Jesus Christ, some people go through the world sick of that question. What is that like?
Fun.
You're just fucking booking a career because you were just trying to get to the little airplane toy.
Yep. Basically, that's how this happened. That's how she got a part, but she was good at it, and then like came into a career from it.
God damn.
I feel like we have to go back.
You please.
I realized because
we never start.
We
with
never really
what
started.
Is this show
We start in
about?
the middle.
Yeah, we started in the middle, which is another funny fact that. So the first episode that you guys saw was actually episode 8. They did that thing in the 90s where they started just throwing things around in their episodes because they thought this one would be better than this other one.
Like Darkwing Duck.
Yeah, exactly. Or Space Above and Beyond, or Firefly. Yeah.
What do you mean it was episode 8?
It was that. Yeah, it was the 8th episode that they shot. That's why they did the weird intro at the beginning, because there was literally nothing that Baywatch the actual.
There was no exposition.
There was no
written in.
exposition. The Baywatch itself, because Baywatch had been running. See, now everybody who's on camera gets to see me look at my notes.
How dare
So
you?
Baywatch ran from 1989 to 2001. Baywatch Nights was 1995 to 1997. So it was at like the height of Baywatch.
Gone too soon.
And the whole reason that they brought it in, like there was one episode where Mitch, David Hasselhoff's character, was like, I should be a PI at night. And they're like, you could never be a lifeguard during the day and a PI at night. He's like, watch me. And then they made a show. And it was him trying to like sell himself as a legitimate actor. But the whole reason that we're obsessed with this show, or that I became obsessed with this show, was for the true format of the first season very much was a detective show. It was a PI show of him trying to show like his acting skills and bringing these things in there. It was very based off of Magnum PI. That's what they were trying to do. And then it didn't do well. And so they tried to make a second season because they were still trying to feed off of Baywatch. And they decided to just go batshit crazy. And they had one episode where a woman read tarot and could see the future in the first season.
Right.
And that was the best one that they had. That was the most watched one that they had. So the second season, they just went, let's make it like X-Files. And they just went in this supernatural direction with no explanation whatsoever. First season,
The
just a
vibe
detective
changes
show.
completely.
Yeah.
Like the theme song's
Yeah.
weird and dark and spooky.
Their skulls.
Yeah,
and
which do you
gargoyles.
love? Do you love listening to David Hasselhoff sing the intro song?
Oh my God.
Because David Hasselhoff singing "After the Sun Goes Down." That's terrible. I'm so sorry, everybody. Singing "After the Sun Goes Down," and then
yeah.
the second season being just like spooky wisps of air and like skulls, and then just at the end, David Hasselhoff going, "The nights will never be the same."
Killed
and that's
me.
it.
It's so fucking funny. It's all got big. If anyone's seen Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, it's got big that, like, it really felt almost beat for beat like that, which is a British show that intentionally is a terrible show from the 80s. Like, it was made in 2004 and it was made to look bad and camp and weird. This does it really naturally.
No,
like,
yeah.
it almost feels like everything was custom made to be as ridiculous as possible.
Yeah. So we do have a shift too from season 1 to season 2, not just in tone, but also with our players.
Yes.
Like our best friend Garner.
Who the
Kaiser
show
Soze's.
was basically based on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they actually, this is stuff that I've like looked up and found out because I was like, I need to know why this happened. This was David Hasselhoff trying to legitimize himself as an actor. He wanted to do this Magnum PI thing. They had a character that was in Baywatch that was a cop and was a PI. So they were like, oh, Garner, I think his name's good. Yeah, I'm just saying that right. Okay.
It's on the sheet you gave us.
That's right.
Best friend Garner.
So Garner, like, he got this detective agency. David Hasselhoff did not want to make it part of Baywatch at all to begin with. He wanted to call it like Malibu Nights and just make it a PI show. But then the producers came in and said, no, you're at the height of Baywatch. We're doing this as a Baywatch show. And then just brought everybody in. And then when it didn't do well the first season, they got rid of everybody except for the main two characters, brought in another gentleman who is now a supernatural detective.
Diamond.
Yeah. And completely changed the show into a new thing. So it's absolutely crazy the way that it works.
So who Joseph DeFilippis was asking, is Hasselhoff the only Baywatch connection? We have others, right?
So we do. We have a few others. Hasselhoff is obviously the main one.
Yeah.
Garner was a character in Baywatch. He was a detective. They brought him in a few times. Donna, who comes in later on in the first season, who's one of the blondes,
Sure.
later goes to Baywatch.
Not so serious.
Not so serious.
Kiss David Hasselhoff?
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yes.
maybe.
She buys the the whole reason that it's called Baywatch Nights is not even that this whole thing happens at night, because if you watch the first season, it all
really
happens during the day.
It's a lot of daytime.
It's because their PI firm is on top of a bar called Nights. And so it's called Baywatch Nights. And so Donna's character comes in and buys the Nights restaurant, the club, but then they bring her over into Baywatch. So she's in Baywatch. There's another male character that's in the first season that they bring into Baywatch later on. And there was one... see, now I got to look.
Yasmin Bleeth guest stars.
Yasmin Bleeth, yeah. And then, Angie Harmon was in one episode of Baywatch because they were then trying to get people to watch the other show.
That makes sense.
So the big one, of course, was David Hasselhoff, but Donna became one of the lifeguards that I think came in once Pamela Anderson left, and they had to replace her with 3 other women. And so I think that's when she went to the Baywatch side of thing.
Pamela Anderson is the equivalent of 3 women. You get it,
pretty
Pam.
much,
Hell yeah. Oh my gosh. But so does she still own the nightclub and is like, you know what? I need something to do with my days. I should lifeguard, or do they drop the nightclub?
I think they drop it. It's been a while since I've watched all of Baywatch too, because that's 11 seasons, so I just haven't watched it that much.
Just got to sit at Kantiki longer.
Yeah, exactly. I just got to sit at the bar a lot longer.
Have 17 Mai Tais and see what you can get through.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you, because I have never, I don't think I've ever seen an episode of Baywatch in its entirety. Let alone, now I have seen an episode of Baywatch Nights.
Yeah. Which is awesome that you've now watched more Baywatch Nights than more than
that
Baywatch.
Is correct. Can you just kind of, for people who weren't into it or were too young, just break down some of why?
I got that question so many times.
Was it kind of just, Baywatch Nights, all of this, was it kind of just, because I was watching this going, we talk a lot about how TV, how media in general is less sexual, and I was watching this going, is it partly just because, these shows partially existed because you couldn't just hop on your computer and see whatever you wanted to see? This was kind of it if you were a kid or a teenager?
Very honestly, yes.
Yeah?
So, Baywatch was created partially because of the time where they were trying to sell California as a great place to, move to and live. And so they did things...
Should have just shipped everyone in the country one In-N-Out hamburger.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, they basically had it we have a show that there's attractive people with their shirts off or in very little clothing. Yeah. They are running across the beach. The other thing that they actually kind of sold when Baywatch was going is if you came to California, if you came to Los Angeles and went to Santa Monica, you would see them filming. They were constantly filming. So you would always see we're going to Hollywood and seeing them filming, but you don't know where they go. You went to Dockweiler, you went to Santa Monica, you went to Venice, and they were always filming Baywatch. Yeah. So it was this weird, crazy thing where, a lot of teenage boys and a lot of older men who didn't have as much porn at the time would watch TV and see scantily clad people. And then they even made it more that, hey, if you come out here, you can watch them film at any given time and be out and part of Hollywood.
We have to remember, this was a time where allegedly, you were just finding porn in bushes. Did you ever find porn in a bush?
No, because I was born and raised in Los Angeles, so we didn't have woods that you could go out to.
Yeah. But thank you for not looking at me like I'm crazy, because I feel like I've referenced that and people have been like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I definitely have a lot of friends who were like, oh yeah, we just used to go to this part of the park and find porn. That was just
there. Or Penthouse or whatever.
Yeah.
Was that an altruistic thing of people being like, I'm going to leave this for a kid to find. I hope they get their rocks off. Or is this a predatory thing?
No, I feel
I've always wondered. Where I'm like,
feel like
why
it
were they
was, like-
leaving it?
No, I feel
I've
like,
always wondered. Where I'm
I
like,
feel like
why
it
were they
was, like-
leaving it?
I feel like it was like teenage boys who would get their hands on one from dad or wherever and be like, this is the spot if you want to go.
This
and
is our
look
commu-
at porn.
communal
so it's like
porn.
the communal porn,
Aw.
then
which
we
is
had
also
Baywatch.
weird.
Which I guess answers. We had a question from. Oops, come on now. MHLN 1982 just saying like this was such a weird show. The question is what made people watch it, which I guess then does segue to Baywatch Nights. But I think the answer might have been they didn't.
They really didn't.
The show lasted 2 years.
Yes,
Well, and it's
2
even
seasons.
funny because a lot of the interviews, if you see the early interviews, there's one with like David Hasselhoff on Conan O'Brien. There's also one of like all of the actors just being interviewed and saying like, hey, what's the difference? Because they were selling it as Baywatch.
Yeah.
And so they just said, hey, what's the difference between Baywatch and Baywatch Nights? And the answer that almost all of them gave was the women have more clothing.
Uh-oh.
Well,
It was
dang.
a higher class. They were trying to sell it as a high class Baywatch.
Maybe a little more for adults or
Yeah.
maybe for, yeah.
More cerebral, less horny. And yet, they still really
yet they
love
still-
rocking all those slow-mos
But
and
it-
bathing suit shots.
It is funny when it's like, you got Baywatch and you got X-Files. I feel like you already filled out the...
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I do want to give a shout out to Mr. E1986 who just said, damn, they got the Hoff working a double, which he was, I assumed.
He was working a lot during that time.
And I assumed when I heard about this, it was like, oh, Baywatch is over. What else can we do with these actors who still want to be involved with this property? No, it was the same time.
Yeah.
Because also good for David Hasselhoff, this was also the time that he had a full singing career.
Right.
Also.
That's right.
He was putting out albums. He was like, he's still huge in Germany. I think he's still the #1 selling artist in Germany to this day.
Dang.
So like,
Well done, Hoff.
yeah. So he had like what I think there was another show that he was doing that I can't think of right now. He had the singing career. That guy was killing it.
He
as
was,
long
I
as he
think,
could.
a producer and executive producer of this.
Yes,
of
he
this
was the
show.
producer. I mean,
Yeah.
this was his show. This was his brainchild
Which
that he
then
put together.
Wretch Plays on over on YouTube, where you can now ask questions as well over on that community tab. But Wretch Plays asked who's responsible.
Him.
David Hasselhoff.
David Hasselhoff, and then
It's all him, baby.
and he didn't want to do it as a Baywatch show. He talked a bunch of Baywatch producers into doing it, and then they were like, "No, this is a Baywatch show."
Oh, man.
What a wild. Okay. So, if someone's going to jump in, do you jump in on season 1 or do you jump ahead to season 2?
So this was something that I like put together because I just wanted to put, and this is where people can go. I would definitely say watch like the first 1 or 2 episodes of the first season.
And we don't want to blow up their spot, but these are all on YouTube.
These are all on YouTube. There's one woman who has compiled all of them. She's a hero and has put this all out on YouTube.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service. Watch the first 1 or 2 episodes because the first season is a little bit rote. I see why people weren't huge into it.
But I kind of love that about it. There's something comforting.
I definitely still think this is a show that you can either get high or drunk and really enjoy this show as much as you possibly
I was
can.
watching the pilot like, oh, I told Eric, I was like, you're gonna come home and find me one gummy deep. Just
Yep.
like, I need to go to sleep, but I will let this lull me.
Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So watch like the first 1 or 2 episodes of the first season and then watch the second season.
because the tonal
Definitely.
shift is jarring.
Yeah, so I wrote this down. I am going to read this I wrote down what the premise of most of the episodes were.
Okay.
Going from the first season to the second
Let's
season.
go.
Okay.
So see if you can see a difference between these 2 seasons.
Let's go.
So season 1,
Yes.
protecting a fashion model, gang of roller skating burglars.
With fucking John O'Hurley.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Like just pre-Seinfeld John O'Hurley as their like maybe evil boss.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. Continue.
Finding a missing girl, going undercover as a gigolo, pose as a phone sex operator to catch a killer, which was one thing that Ryan did during it. Yeah, Ryan is her, and she poses as a phone
Brown
sex
hair.
operator.
That Angie Harmon smoky voice
Angie
on a
Harmon
sex line?
smoky voice doing
Sweet
sex
swoo,
phone.
don't mind if I
Yeah.
do.
Investigating murder, woman kidnapped by the mob, save a friend from a serial killer, hired to protect kids from a killer, kidnapping, investigate members of a surf rocker band dying, catch a killer that broke out of prison and targeting people involved in his imprisonment. Season 2, investigative freighter sunk by a New Guinea sea monster. Investigate series of murders by half-human, half-woman fish who wants to have a baby, who of course falls in love with Mitch.
Oh.
Investigate a gelatinous sea monster.
Which half is fish? Which half is fish?
With the bottom half.
Okay, thank you.
The bottom half is fish?
Yes.
Oh, he's not going to go for that.
Rescues a boy from aliens.
That's still very much.
Still. I mean, go you. Investigates a boy and rescues a boy from aliens. Investigates black arts and voodoo cults. Enters a cabin that takes them back in time where a ghost falls in love with Mitch.
Perfect.
Investigate a woman who turns into who is a vampire and is 600 years old, who also falls in love with Mitch.
Okay.
Yes.
Radioactive dust from a space shuttle is dropped on a farmer's field. Donna, the one from Baywatch, is possessed by a spirit of a serial killer. They awaken Vikings at one point.
Does one of the Vikings try to fuck Mitch?
No, he doesn't.
Missed opportunity.
They get caught in a video game at one point.
What?
They get transported to a parallel universe where we suddenly find out that the Ryan character is a scientist. And
Well,
she
brown
knows
hair.
all this stuff.
Brown hair.
Yeah.
Brown hair.
Brown hair.
They fight a wolf man. They have an episode. Yeah. The last episode is Ryan disappears in a haunted restaurant and Mitch thinks that she died, and that's when they like kiss.
What kind of restaurant?
It's just an innocuous restaurant, and
But
they have a woman with the worst French accent who's coming in to buy
that's
it.
what I like.
at
Are we
first,
talking
too.
like a Denny's or are we talking like
No,
a,
it's like a just
Bennigan's? Like I need to know.
it's apparently a French cafe.
Okay,
Cool.
But my
like a Mimi's. Nicer than
is
a Mimi's.
Mimi's French cafe.
That's about to be my question too. What do we call Mimi's a French cafe?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a cafe.
I used to have
I
to
could get
do
a quiche.
diabetes clinic demos at a Mimi's cafe in Torrance.
Pause. What?
Awesome.
One of Logan and I's weird survival jobs for a while was we worked for a diabetes clinic, a functional medicine clinic, that would do these like free dinner demos that they send out flyers to people with diabetes to come have them get a free dinner, a healthy dinner at Mimi's or Marie Callender's. And
R.I.P. Gone too soon.
you'd watch this whole presentation on how you could fix your diabetes.
And then they would buy 3 pies as they left
Yep,
either
yeah.
place.
Yeah, they always did, yeah. Because
Yeah.
also they'd yell at us when we'd be like, well, you can't get Coke or like lemonade. We'd see people putting sugar packets in their water. It was wild. But yeah, that's my Mimi's connection.
You know what? It's called Mimi's. I could get a quiche there. I think that counts. I'm not saying it's fine French dining,
No,
No.
but I could get a quiche.
it's French like McDonald's is Americana.
Yeah, okay. That works. Yeah.
Whatever. I didn't come here to be harassed.
So my favorite episode, though, of the second season, which those from Los Angeles, although we just had a very hard time with them, there's an episode where the Santa Ana winds of Los Angeles, which plague us every year, turns everyone crazy in Los Angeles.
I mean, that's
and
just
that's
real.
just what they have to deal with. And they literally say it's the Santa Ana winds that come down from the mountains that drive everyone crazy in Los Angeles. It's amazing.
Dang.
But yeah, you see there's a little bit of difference between season 1 and season
Slightly.
2.
Just
Yeah.
just a tick.
I like that the through line is, though, that people fall in love with Mitch.
Yes.
Yeah, I do like that it's like somehow, and I assume he's like smooching back.
Oh yeah, completely.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
sort of like if you put Captain Kirk in the X-Files.
Oh yeah.
I'm just like,
Ah,
And that's a
Great.
great actually that's a great parallel
Yeah.
too. Because another guy where you're like, did everyone want this guy at that time? That's interesting. Okay.
but also
Yeah.
like, I'd smooch a ghost.
you'd smooch a ghost?
You wouldn't?
Well, one, it's not a corporeal being. How am I going to smooch it? I'm going to go right through their ectoplasm.
You wouldn't try that.
You'd try it. You'd try.
It depends on who the ghost is.
Although if we're gonna do a Ghostbusters episode, you do have one of the Ghostbusters who had sex with a ghost
Yeah.
in the Ghostbusters.
That's very true.
Mm-hmm.
Good for you, Dan Aykroyd. Yeah.
I don't know if I believe everything Dan Aykroyd says can happen, but I just want to go on record.
Would you smooch a ghost?
I mean, you gotta try, right?
Gotta try.
Yeah.
If a
We
ghost-
don't even care who the ghost is. We're just smooching poltergeist.
I mean, they were.
I bet it
all-
was a sexy lady ghost.
Exactly.
Oh,
They were all
okay.
sexy lady ghosts. The vampire one, he was very sad to get rid of a vampire who was killing a bunch of people. But it just, could not escape that Hasselhoff charm.
And vampires are historically sexy, so
Yep.
I get it.
These things happen.
Were you watching this when it came out? When, how? When, how? When and how?
I was trying to go back and remember, so I was...
When did this get dropped into your life?
Yeah, I mean, I come from a medium income family, and so growing up, I did not have cable, so it was basically, but I was still raised by the television, so anything that I could watch at night or get my hands on or see in any way, I would watch. Sure. Because we had, 6 channels? And Baywatch was on there and things like that. So when you did, and a lot of reruns happened, things like that. So I don't know if I truly watched it while it was first on or in syndication or what. But yeah, I definitely watched it while I was on TV.
Wow. Were you at the time, because you would have been pretty young at the time, were you like, this is
cinema.
This is good? Or were you aware? Because I don't think Baywatch is high art. I haven't watched enough to judge, but it's pretty soapy.
It's still in
right?
entertainment.
Yeah.
It's still soapy and entertainment.
Yeah. I feel like this might be a little step down in terms of the quality of the... Would that be fair to say, or do you think they're on the same level? I don't know. I haven't watched enough to make a firm judgment. I'm just going off of vibes.
I mean, for some of the stuff...
No Ghosts on Baywatch, so 0.1 nights.
Yeah, and I totally forgot that Baywatch was on for, 11 or 12 seasons? 1987 to, 2001? I forgot that it was on.
I forgot it fucking ran till 2000.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. As a kid, I don't think Baywatch Nights is worse than Baywatch, especially early Baywatch. There were boats exploding. There were houses the things that lifeguards did in Baywatch would not be something that people normally did as lifeguards or anything like that. They were just, things were exploding. There were hot people. That was about it.
Yeah, they do a lot more than your average lifeguard feels. I had to do CPR training to be a babysitter, and I'm just saying, all I learned was how to do chest compressions, and if you got a pencil in your eye, how to deal with that. And that was it.
Don't pull it out.
Don't pull it out. You put a Dixie cup over it, and
just good luck.
And then get them to a hospital. But also the logistics of that.
Start coming up with...
Hold on, let me just put this cup over your puncture wound. Hold on.
Cup over it and start figuring out your nickname. What do you want to be, Blink or... I mean, you got some options, but...
Yeah.
Wait. I'm sorry.
It's I who have lore today.
If this is the pencil, and then I'm just kind of hanging the Dixie cup off the pencil...
You, put a hole in the Dixie cup so the pencil can go through that, and then secure it to their head.
Yeah, the point of it
This is probably where my eye trauma started. It was being I'm going to have to tend to a child like a Civil War soldier.
I have not taken a CPR class.
Oh.
I want plausible deniability of nothing I could have done.
The point of it was to stop the pencil from moving. You didn't want it moving or anything.
Yeah.
That's why.
That's helpful, but
yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Wow. So equally good to Baywatch, we think. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But I do want to know how many people got into lifeguarding because of Baywatch.
And then immediately we're like, this sucks shit.
Yeah.
Because you barely get in the water if you're a lifeguard, is what I've heard.
Literally, now I'm thinking about it, it's I watched a lot of Baywatch as a kid, and then I became an EMT. That was weird. I wonder if it was connected in any way.
Funny.
Maybe.
Huh.
My dad picked up my mom when he was a lifeguard.
Oh, there you go.
Was she
He
drowning?
was living that. No.
She have a pencil in her
She to quote Jeff Carr, she was a hot brunette, so serious.
Oh.
With a
Very
good tan and a white bikini.
That's
And Jeff Carr made his move.
my third favorite Jimmy Buffett song.
It's also from why my dad likes Jimmy Buffett so much. She's like, yep, I'm living this life.
he doubled down.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So
There was a really great thing that I found as I was doing this research. So I actually found the pitch episode that they did for this.
Yes.
Which was even more ridiculous. So they actually wanted it originally that Mitch's character would break the fourth wall and talk to the audience.
Well, at least it would have made the fucking thing at the beginning.
So it would have actually
totally,
made that portion of the beginning work a little bit better. But
and I don't hate it if we're going for almost a noir thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mitch Poole.
Mitch Poole. But it was still just this ridiculous, like, he would
Yeah.
go through some things and then he would, like, turn to the camera and be like, exposition, just gonna tell you what's going on right now. And then go back to what he was doing.
I mean, would that have been better or worse than the narration about baseball popping in all the time in season 1?
Not sure.
In season 2, does he remain a skeptic? Because in that first episode of season 2, he's very much like, I saw something, but I don't believe in things.
Literally to the last episode.
Scullying?
He's Scully, yeah.
Yeah.
Literally to the last episode where they, like, are kidnapped by ghosts. He's like, nah, this doesn't exist. He's
I'll
already been
smooch
through
you,
all
but
of
you're
this
not
stuff. Yeah.
Well, I think you might just be a pretty lady in a costume.
He's already been
Who's
through
to say?
all these things, and every time, because they have the character that's like the detective, the paranormal detective, every time he's like, I called you in here because, like, you can help with this. And every single time, Mitch is like, nah, this doesn't exist.
It's, oh God, I pulled up something for research and my Google page was like, the Baywatch Nights Wikipedia page, you visit often. And I hate that. For me, it's like youth is wasted on the young, like kissing a ghost is wasted on someone who's like, I don't think you're
believe.
real.
Your algorithm is going to be great after.
I'm so excited about this for you. Our YouTube is going to be just a nightmare.
Whatever. So first season we went from sort of this detective thing to this supernatural thing. What would you have wanted if it was not R.I.P. Gone Too Soon?
I mean, it's one of those things where I just wish that they, like, tripled down on everything and just made it even more ridiculous.
Just more supernatural?
Absolutely.
See, because I want every season to be a completely new genre.
Actually, that's great. If they did it like Archer
Baywatch
style.
Nights season.
Yes!
Baywatch Nights season 3. We're in space now. Fuck it.
Yep.
Oh, I would love that.
I think that could have been a
That'd be
hit.
magical.
It's just somewhat like a different show every single season that they do it, just trying to find that gold note of what's
Hoff is
going to
the
work for
only
it.
consistent. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, that's how most shows should go. Just give me David Hasselhoff and we'll see what happens.
Wait. I keep getting confused that Lou Rawls was there a little bit.
Oh, because he owns the
Oh,
nightclub.
yeah, because he owned the nightclub.
It's just kind of a wild person to have on the
Yeah,
show.
and he was only in it like maybe 10 minutes in as many, because halfway
got
through
shit
the
to
first
do.
season he sells the club also. So he was only there for like the very beginning. And I think they only had maybe 1 or 2 scenes that were actually done in the club, which was Baywatch Nights. Oh, that's also a fun fact. Anytime that you see parodies nowadays where they're like Nights, it's always based off of Baywatch Nights. That it was so ridiculous that whenever you see something like Simpsons Nights, it's always making fun of Baywatch Nights.
Funny.
And that's
Excellent.
always where that comes in.
Love it. That's magical. I'm glad we all shared this fever dream together.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And I love that for years you just thought you like Mandela affected yourself.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
We're like,
Yeah, when did you find this again? Walk us through that.
yeah.
So it was one of those things, and I couldn't tell you like exactly which, but it started happening at parties where people were talking about like ridiculous 80s shows, things like that. And then like Baywatch would come up because it was very melodramatic and you just had a lot of hot people running in slow motion. And after a while, it was one of those things where I went, hey, does anybody else remember that there was this show? And every single person just thought that I was high or something and just cracked out. I was like, no, I swear this exists. But you couldn't find it anywhere. So then when like YouTube started coming around, you started seeing shows that you couldn't find anywhere else being posted onto YouTube. I was like, I'm going to prove this right. And so then it just became my thing that I found it finally. And then at parties would be like, you know what you should watch? You should absolutely go watch Baywatch Nights and just tell me all about the second season.
Yeah.
This was the pitch where I was like, I don't think that's real. I think you're just saying a bunch of nonsense to me. And I've had enough whiskey to go, that's probably a true thing. Man, I wasn't prepared still. This was insane.
Did you watch Baywatch?
I was aware of Baywatch.
Yeah.
Because, I was born when Baywatch was born.
Yeah.
So that wasn't something that I sat down regularly for.
More like baby
watch.
Baby watch.
Yep.
Baby.
I don't know. I think it lasted through a lot of time where people found their sexuality is what really had it
Probably.
going for that.
It was either that or you watched X-Men and you were like, I've learned some things about myself.
This is very true.
I feel like Baywatch tried to hit us with the hunky guys, but it did not translate the same.
No.
I don't need
Also-
I don't think I need a man to go in slow motion.
No.
I don't think that does anything for
And
me.
there were a lot of like hotter guys on it, but David Hasselhoff was a big star, and then I think that Pamela Anderson was really who sold Baywatch.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
For sure.
that was definitely everything that was going on with her, and people became huge fans of the show, mostly for the people who, not even the show itself, but I need to watch this one person, and that's about it.
Was her name CJ on the show? Is that
feels
it?
right.
That does feel right, but I
Shit.
could not tell you exactly.
If you were hot in the 90s, your name was just initials.
Oh.
Yeah. Ugh. And I will say, 90s lady hot? Wow. Wow. Stunning.
Yeah.
Dang.
The men? We hadn't quite figured it out yet.
Hit or miss. We're trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do like the floppy boy haircut.
Sure.
The Dimitri from Anastasia haircut.
Oh, sure.
A good Dom Bluth look. Thank you very much. Here for it.
But it was one of those things. I think that the guys was either you're going for the like hot dad effect, or it was really skinny white dudes, you know, that in their like teens. So you had like one extreme or the other, whereas the women were very, very, this is the model that it should be.
These are all women who have been in Sports Illustrated,
Yes.
and you're welcome.
Yeah. In slow motion.
In slow motion.
And that works.
Not as much, though, in season 2 of Baywatch Nights. A lot of the slow motion on that was, why?
There is a line. It reminds me of there's a joke on Garth Marenghi's Dark Place where they're talking in the interviews, and it might have been a similar situation in real life of like, the episodes were coming in way too short, so ultimately anything that wasn't dialogue was eligible for slow motion.
Perfect.
So that may have been why of just we don't have a full episode
We gotta
length
stretch it to
fill
get to
this
those ad
mystery.
breaks.
But I feel like they had to hit certain points in it. Like we had to have a weird kissing scene. We have to have Hasselhoff like talk on a phone weirdly. You have to have the female character pose at this point. So I feel like they had these points and like, oh yeah, so then we're going to fill in this with a slow motion. We're going to fill in this with slow motion. I guarantee you those scripts were like 5 pages long. When
Probably.
actually
Yeah.
wrote them.
We'll just figure it out on the day. He knows what to do. He's a pro.
Are there any other PI cases or cryptids that you wish showed up in this? Like, do you wish there were any other kind of cop show scenarios or tropes that we got hit with, or other monster moments?
They definitely had a lot.
If I can get us rolling with my wish list, a lady Bigfoot.
Oh, that
Mayhap
falls in love with Mitch.
That's the one.
Damn.
I actually think that would have been great if they. I mean, I read the ones where something fell in love with Mitch, but if they had it more of
more of that.
just everything falling in love with Mitch would have been pretty awesome.
Like, let's really push that bit to its natural conclusion.
Yeah, I'd be here for it.
Yeah. Other than that, I mean, they hit a lot of crazy things. And they did go into like voodoo cults and Vikings and video games.
The
and
time
black
travel
arts and-
feels like a real, because like time travel feels like a funny split for me, because like, look, we're not going to get into if ghosts are real or not right now.
Okay.
I don't have time. I don't have energy. I don't want to be the Dan Aykroyd of this podcast. I don't.
That's
And
fair.
I'm aware. I know. I know. But I'd like to fight that as long as I can.
Sure.
But, like, ghosts are a thing that people do believe in. Not me. But people.
People.
Shut up.
No, I do want to get into it now. Do you not believe in ghosts? Or do you believe in ghosts? I can't remember where your stance is.
We've taken a turn with this.
Yeah.
We're having a different episode.
All right, if I answer, everyone else has to answer.
Okay.
Do you believe in ghosts?
No.
Do you believe in ghosts?
Somewhat.
Okay, see, kind of same. Kind of same. Because here's my thing on ghosts.
Okay.
Real quick, sidebar. You can fuck a ghost. That's just science. No, I believe that I like the idea of ghosts. I think it costs nothing to believe in them.
Sure.
I like the idea of living in a world where that is a possibility. And me saying ghosts aren't real If they are, well, I'd feel like a big old asshole. If I'm like, that's nothing, and the ghost is sitting there like, I was trying to fuck, you know? Or whatever they're here for. That's not the point. I like the idea of it, and I think if ghosts aren't real, the human, like, belief in ghosts is so indicative of something really powerful, of this idea of, like, we love each other so much that we choose to see each other's presence, even when we're gone, is as real and powerful as if a literal ghost exists.
Oh, that's lovely. I feel like a shithead for being so dismissive now.
That's fine.
I'm like, they're not real. All right. When we're dead, I hope we're dead. God.
And if any of them are listening and want to come smooch me.
Not me, though. Court me. I'm not just going to smooch you.
I mean, I'm married, but
for a ghost?
my whole pass list just says ghost.
just ghosts.
Ghost.
Different ghosts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a real easy sell, though, where Eric was like, sure.
Can I kiss a ghost?
If you must.
I think that there are, because obviously people have different levels of belief with ghosts and also things. I think it's one of those things that I think that there are feelings and there are emotions that are strong enough to leave an imprint on things.
Yes.
Do I think that something is going around being like, hey, how you doing today?
Want to fuck?
Want to fuck? No, I don't think so.
Can you be sure?
Yeah. I also, it's the theory of like ghosts have like unfinished business type of thing. You don't want a loved one to be a ghost then, really, do you? You want them to move on. But I do think that there are things like battlefields and stuff like that where something so traumatic happened that it does leave an imprint on something.
Yeah,
for sure.
Makes sense to me. But all that to say, I just think it's funny because, like, cryptids, ghosts, sort of exist in that, like, yeah, scientifically probably not, but people believe in them, and we can kind of let people have that. And that time travel is, like, a whole different, like, that just doesn't, no one's like, I think maybe time travel exists. Secretly.
Fair.
Yeah.
That would have been my season 3 pick.
I just think it's fun. But they do time travel, don't they?
Oh, you know what? Yes, they did
They do.
time
So that's
travel.
so funny.
But I
They
want a
went
whole
back in
season
time.
like
and they went to a
freaking
parallel.
Umbrella Academy where they're trapped in time.
I just think it's really funny.
You know what I realized is not on this, that actually the most people that I've heard, especially since I travel the country a lot for work and things like that, and I've traveled around the world, the number one thing that I've found that people believe in is Bigfoot. And I had
Lady Bigfoot.
Yeah, and I definitely had family members growing up in like British Columbia, Canada. They're like, "Oh no, we used to see him. Like we used to see him all the time. They would come down, and if we had a Lady Bigfoot falling in love with Mitch, ooh, that would have been good."
Are they sure that just wasn't a large Quebecian?
That also could be true.
Okay.
Those lumberjacks get hairy out
I
there.
know.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not going to judge. I'm Italian. People have mistaken our people for all kinds of things. All right? It's fine.
Are there any other shows that you would recommend that occupy this same, like, joyful what the fuck?
Wow, that is actually a really great question. I do think that you should just go through like early 90s shows especially, and just look what was out there. Because right now when you ask that question, of course, my brain went, but I guarantee you that there are things like this. There are some ridiculous shows that they tried out and put out there, but I could not think of exactly like this out there.
Go find the lineup for some channel in like 1993 and pick the first show you've heard nothing about
Yes.
in this day and age and give
Honestly,
it a go.
if you can go buy one of the old TV guides and just look through and be like, I don't even know what that show was, and then watch that, and I guarantee you can find it on YouTube.
Because that is the funny thing. It's like, yes, it kind of exists in, like you were saying, in sort of the parody of like whatever Nights. But like for all the pop cultural staying power of Baywatch, of like, I never watched a full episode of Baywatch. I still know what Baywatch is. If I see someone running in slow motion in a red swimsuit, I know what you're doing. I could still probably name you 3 to 5 cast members off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Baywatch Nights, I didn't think existed until you pitched this.
But there are, I mean, just think of how many ridiculous movies were from the 80s and 90s that we used to watch, and some of those even got... Here we're talking about Bigfoot, Harry and the Hendersons. If you go back and watch the Harry and the Hendersons show, is literally the premise of a family finds Bigfoot. That's it.
Yeah.
Watch Small Wonder, where the family had a robot daughter, Peggy Brewster, which is just a girl who was like adopted by an old man and lives in a treehouse. Like there were some weird things because they also just went off of premises a lot of times. The show was literally just, this is the premise, let's make some stuff up with it.
It really was just vibes.
Yeah.
What a great time. What an amazing time for television and film.
Honestly, I would have thrived.
You would have done great. You would have been pitching things left and right, and they would have been like, yes, more. Thank you.
Yeah.
You would have been their Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
Just have like a dartboard, like, and the lady Bigfoot lives in
Saskatchewan. All right.
Okay.
You had a full show in late 80s, early 90s that took place in a Nazi concentration camp, and it was a comedy. Hogan's Heroes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there were things like that went on. I guarantee you could find some really crazy stuff out there. I'm not kidding. Get a TV guide or look up a TV guide or buy one.
I was going to say getting one is going to be
eBay.
really expensive.
Yeah, I think they literally still have them in maybe newspapers still, lineups.
Dang.
Yeah, but that's it. But you used to get, again, showing my age, you used to get every single week. And you would go through and look at what the lineup was on all the stations and just go through that and look at something weird.
I remember that, trying to figure out when Dinosaurs was going to be on TV.
There's another great one. Watch Dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs was a great show.
One of the most traumatic endings to a show ever.
I still have, somewhere on the internet you can find, I've got like a 35-minute video unpacking that finale and how that show was ahead of its time. So good. Love it. Did you ever watch that one?
Not the mama.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say you were maybe too little, but
I remember watching it, like specifically in hotel rooms. Some TV was hotel TV.
Sure. 13 going on 30 is a hotel movie.
I've caught up on so much Family Guy now that I've been traveling a lot. It is
yeah.
Always on. Yeah.
always on.
Yeah. God, I love hotel TV. House Hunters. Love watching House Hunters
Yeah, there's
in a
no
hotel
just
room.
a deal channel that's always all of the like pickers shows and like the storage wars and stuff like that. It's always a good one to just throw on there.
Simpler times.
Indeed.
Well, may all your days be Baywatch. And
well,
all your nights.
well, and your nights will never be the same.
And
They
your nights will
won't.
never be the same.
Oh, wait, real quick. Can I say my favorite quote from one of the
Yes,
episodes?
please.
When in the, I guess the pilot, but not the pilot, of my first day of being a PI went a lot like my first day as a lifeguard. People got murdered? You're a really bad lifeguard.
Well, he was running in slow motion.
You
they
get
were
to
like,
him in time.
Hoff, you got
And trying to play baseball.
That's constantly running those bases.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for sharing. I love a good fever
Yeah.
dream.
I
Of a
cannot
show.
wait to watch more of this. Slightly altered. Because I watched it Stone Cold Sober, and boy howdy, I loved every minute
I
of
was
it,
having
and
a
I
good time.
can't wait to dial up that enjoyment.
I was
Oh,
having
yeah.
a good time. Let me slap the mic. Well, I hope you all enjoyed this episode, and I hope my explanation of my theory on ghosts was not so weird that you judge me.
No, I think that was lovely.
I just feel like it is hard to be like, I kind of believe in ghosts.
No, I think you guys did a very great job. That was very nuanced.
Thank you.
Yeah, we got deep for a second. there.
Yeah.
But yeah, one time someone was like, don't think, just answer, do you believe in ghosts? And I was like, yes. Whoa, yes.
Oh.
I guess I do.
Wow. That's the way most questions should be
Yeah.
posed. That's how you usually
Will you
ask
marry me? Don't think.
That's how Amy and I figured out which Muppets we'd have sex with.
Yes.
Oh.
You can't think about it.
Is that because you two live together and you just
In
talk
our
about
little
it?
cookie
Okay,
carton.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I just like going up to people at parties and being like, don't think, just answer.
When we tuck ourselves in to
Yes.
our grandpa bed at the end of the night,
Yeah, our-
and we just lean head against head. Hey, Amy, what you thinking about? Yep. It's a nice time.
Yeah.
And then Logan and Eric, obviously, other
Oh,
end.
yeah.
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 You do the Willy Wonka style.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'll be there until someone offers me tickets to something I want to go to. And then I'll be like, I'm too weak to.
If you head over to Patreon, Two Filthy Casuals Pod on Patreon, you can help Amy get out of that terrible, terrible old person bed for just $5 a month.
Send me to the chocolate factory. I think I've earned it. You can also follow us on Instagram. Are we doing this part now?
Yeah,
Where
we
you can
can.
follow us on Instagram at Two Filthy Casuals Pod or TikTok. If you're a youth as I'm pretending to be currently.
Yeah.
You can, if you're listening, we're always on YouTube with these episodes. And if you need an audio version, that is wherever you get your podcasts. And where can the people find you?
Nowhere.
Okay.
Very honestly.
Good
We
job.
talked about this
Yeah.
our
That's
last
right.
episode.
Fuck, that sounds
I'm not
nice.
really on social media.
He's in the wind.
I'm in the wind.
Can I get me some of that?
Yeah. I'm not trying to be an actor, so I don't care about social media.
I want that for me so
yeah.
much.
Yeah.
I do produce Amy's podcast about her childhood trauma, and go to Speak Friend and become a member there and take some classes because that's some
bud.
really great
Stuff.
stuff. I don't know why my brain just went.
Travis has taken my class too, so he's not just bullshitting.
This is true.
Yeah. So go do that. Help a girl out.
I'm going to go run in slow motion
Oh my gosh.
and kiss a ghost. And until next time, I'm Amy Newman.
I'm Chris Carr.
And remember, if you followed this fandom, remember that when someone yells help, I jump in with both feet.
Your nights are never going to be the same. Bye.